Okay, so what I'm going to do here is this is going to be a demonstration on mapping. I have a hoof that I'm going to map, but before I map this hoof, I'm going to map an inner foot. Now, a lot of people, you might hear them say, oh, well, that's cookie cutter, blah, blah, this and that. But the fact of the matter is that if you look up anatomical mapping, they do it in human anatomy all the time. And have you seen these people that go around and draw the anatomy on a horse, you know, draw the spine and the neck and the muscles and everything like that, and then move the horse around to show you how the anatomy is? Well, you know, if they can do it on something that big and complicated, how much more can we do it on something as small as a foot? So mapping is to map the size of the foot so that you can make sure that your hoof capsule is fitting it correctly. It's to give you a general idea of whether or not the hoof capsule is fitting the foot. And so, I'm going to talk about mapping. I'm going to talk about the different things that we do. Now, there's lots of ways that the hoof capsule can grow and get out of bounds from fitting this internal foot. Now, the thing I want you to remember is this is the first thing that you need to know. When you take off that hoof capsule, what is the first thing you are going to see? You are going to see a real foot inside the horse, a whole foot. This is the horse's foot, and it is covered with skin. And in many respects, it is the same shape as the hoof capsule, as you can see. All right, except for right here, you know, because the hoof capsule is thicker and grows down from that. All right, so here's an internal foot. And the only thing, every horse has the same exact anatomical foot on the inside, just like all people have the same anatomy. Okay, but what are we? We're different sizes, right? But your heart is in the same place as my heart is. Your thumbnail is on the same place that my thumbnail is. The difference is in size, and there is some variation in size, but it is really actually quite limited. You know, our brains. How much do our brains weigh? Things like that. Your brain and my brain, they're both in the same place. We get into my eyeball to find my iris. My iris is going to be where your iris is. Whenever something is out of place, then we're going to have pain, or we're going to have disease of some kind. That is why we can map the foot. Now the question is, are we mapping it correctly? Do we know the truth about what the foot looks like? Do we know the truth about the fact that these bulbs right here, here's the bulbs, this is called the bulb, okay, and what this is the collateral cartilage up here, all right, and the digital cushion which fills up in here, and it's right above also the coronary band, which comes right around here, and underneath, from which your heel buttress grows right there before it turns under and goes under the foot, becomes the bar wall. Okay, the question is, if we're going to map, do we know the truth about what the internal foot even looks like? Okay, so we're going to take a look at this first. Okay, now, what I have outlined right here in black, that would be your coronary band. This is where your horn tubules grow down. They connect. This is the lamina. You have internal, what's called sensitive lamina right there. And then on the hoof capsule itself, if I can find one here that I can show you, on the hoof capsule itself, I don't know if you can see this very well, but in here there is also lamina. And this lamina in here, should have got a better capsule. Okay, there's lamina on the inside of the hoof wall here that attaches to lamina that's on the external part of the foot. And you can study that more later, but what it does is it puts the hoof capsule and the inner foot together like this, locks them together. And so, primarily, the hoof wall grows down from the coronary band, right here. Internally, it attaches to the lamina. Okay, if you have one piece that starts right there, feeds a tube that attaches right here, it grows down, attached to that specific piece of lamina for its entire life till it gets to right here, where it attaches. See, the sulcorium starts right here. It does not start on the very bottom of the foot, it starts right here. Okay, it attaches to the sulcorium right there, and then those two join together in what is called a dovetail fashion, and they grow down to the ground together. And of course that picks your horse's foot up off the ground, because if the foot was just sitting like this, you would have absolutely no sole. Okay, so this is the coronary band, this is the internal lamina. Uh-oh, big wasp. Okay, and let's see. Okay, and then up here, now the foot does not end right here. You have cartilage that goes right up here and down like that. That's also part of the foot, and this cartilage belongs up here. Now, if I was to take my ear or my nose and bend it, that cartilage would be out of place. Is not that correct? Cartilage is meant to be in a specific spot in order to maintain the shape of a certain part of the anatomy. In this case, the cartilage that is growing right here is meant to stay right here, upwards. Do you see that? Now, from about here back, all of this foot is digital cushion and cartilage. So it is very, very movable and can be distorted and can be deformed. And this cartilage here, if you trim the heel out and make it too low, if you make the hairline at too great an angle, it can just pull all that cartilage down like that. In fact, it can pull it down, and it can begin to pull it even under the foot and crush all the heel. Now let me show you coffin bone here. Okay, you have coffin bone. Let's see. Let's put this right on here. One's a front foot and one's a back foot. So I'm going to mark where your coffin bone, about where your coffin bone ends. Okay. Okay, your coffin bone ends right here. See that? That's where the coffin bone ends. Everything from here back is cartilage. And this, starting from here, going down to here. Okay, let's turn this over. Going across here. Over here. Over here. Up to here. This is your heel. All of this area. And I always include the bulbs as the heel. All this whole area is your heel. This whole piece is heel. When you get contracted heels, okay, right here we have a frog corium. That is from what your frog grows. Right here, this is called the central sulcus, and it grows what is called the frog stay. The frog stay is what keeps your bulbs separated and keeps your heels from contracting. Contracted heels are when you get deep central sulcus thrush in here. It eats the frog away, and then the horse, it can eat right up into the sensitive tissues here, and then the horse does not want to stand on its foot here, and so since from here back is cartilage, this whole area can get squeezed together like that. You see that? Squeezed together like so. That's not how it's supposed to be. This is supposed to be much wider. Okay, this up off the ground. Here's your bulbs. Okay, now I want you to notice that the heel goes down below the bulbs here. The bulbs are meant to be up off the ground. These soft bulbs were never meant to be pounded and walked on. And when a person lowers the heels, it lowers the bulbs down to the ground, actually crushes the shape of the inner heel. Now look there. See how your heel has elevation here? Okay, so this is the heel. All this from here back, and all this is soft cartilage and digital cushion, which is a very soft, fatty material. Here, I'll show it to you in this foot here. Again, there's your digital cushion. Here's your frog stay that you don't want coming out of the foot right here. Okay, here's your cartilages. You see where they are located. They are located up here. They're not supposed to be down here. Now, when a person trims this heel buttress out here, okay, it pulls all this down, pulls the coronary band down, and the whole back of the foot down and under it. It takes this cartilage and it pulls it under like that as well. Okay, so this is your heel. All of this area here, all back. A lot of times when we're trimming heels, what are we thinking about? Well, we're thinking about this little area here. Okay, this is the heel of your hoof capsule that grows from the heel of the internal foot, and it is supposed to support and stabilize the back of this foot, because I said that the back of this foot is cartilage and fat, right? So this heel, the sidewall, look here, this is your heel right here. I will draw it out. Okay, it goes all the way back here, down here, okay, across here. All of this grows from that area I just showed you. This is all heel. Now, this is the heel buttress, which is a solid piece of hoof wall that grows from the back, grows from the heel buttress corium, which is a part of the coronary band right back here, and attaches to the back of your heel here, and then joins with sole at the very bottom, and then you want at least a good 3 inches of sole to grow beyond that. So, again, when we're mapping, what are we doing? We're mapping to map the internal foot. And that will tell us whether the external capsule is in alignment and if it is supporting and growing properly and correctly from the internal foot. Now, so remember, here is your heel. Okay, now here, I just use that as an example of how the wall would start to grow here, attach to the lamina of the internal foot, grow down to here, join with the sole, and then in a dovetail fashion, and then they grow down to the ground together, and that is what lifts your foot up off the ground and gives your foot some sole under there to protect the bottom of the foot. Okay, so here is the center of our toe, right here, and right in the center, this is the toe wall from about here to here. This is where your breakover is. This is what when we're talking about breakover, okay, This is the breakover. We want to find the breakover that is on this internal foot. The mistake people make is thinking that whatever you draw on the outside of here is the breakover. Technically, it's not. Okay? What we want is we want an exact fit of this sole and wall on the internal toe of the internal foot, so that they are working in unison together, they are bearing weight together, they are rolling over together, and there is no stress between them. When the toe gets too long, that is when the lamina starts to tear, and the leverages on the toe and things like that start to tear, and you start getting a flared toe. Now, a flared toe or stretch toe is where this wall would pull away from the lamina and be in an incorrect spot. Now, what you're looking at here, this internal foot, the lamina, then you've got the wall, and you see that there's a very good fit here around the very edge perimeter of the toe, right? So that when that horse walks and breaks over, there's no leverage on that toe. If this toe wall was out here, then as the horse broke over like that, it would literally be tearing the hoof wall this way as the foot was going that way. That's what we don't want. We want them to work together. So when we map, what we're really doing is we're trying to get the hoof capsule to form fit and be correct and bear weight correctly with the internal foot. Okay, so this would be the toe in the center right there. Now, on the sides of the toe, from about here to there, right here, this is called a toe quarter or pillar. Some people call it a pillar, some people call it a toe quarter. Farriers from the old school tend to call it more toe quarter, not a pillar. This here, this area from the toe quarter or pillar to the heel. Remember, from here back, all of this is the heel. This area here is called the quarter. And so basically what you have is you have 4 areas of the foot. Or, well, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4 on each side. You have the heel, the quarter, the toe quarter, and the toe. This here, when the hoof wall is on it, is called the dorsal wall. But internally, it would also be the dorsal wall of the foot itself. All right, again, this would be about here till it turns the quarter. It might go more about to here, I think. Okay. Yeah, okay, well anyway, your toe quarter, turning the corner here, and then your quarter